Anything else you want to say to your fans, man?
Man, shout out to Dante's Boxing Nation. You know, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Earl Spence Jr., my whole name, and just look out for me.
Yes, sir. Let me dig into your brain, folks falling like...
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Let's talk about it. So the last two Canelo Alvarez videos that I did, reporting stuff that Canelo has said currently, of course, Canelo Alvarez fans who love to deflect and be like, hey, let's not talk about Canelo, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about football, whatever. Let's talk about Jermall Charlo versus Demetrius Andrade. So the other day when I was doing my video where I was reporting what Canelo Alvarez saying about why he thinks that he should be pound for pound the best fighter in the world over Terence Crawford and Lomachenko, there was someone in the comment section that wanted to change the subject and compare Canelo to Jermall Charlo, and he said, hey Dante, why aren't you talking about the Charlo situation where he said that he's not willing to go to the Dazn and fight Andrade, but he'll fight Canelo or Golovkin on the Dazn. He was basically implying that Jermall Charlo is pretty much doing the same thing that Canelo Alvarez is doing. And I responded to him by saying, if you want me to do a video comparing Charlo to Canelo Alvarez, all it's gonna do is make Canelo look even worse. And then today, Canelo, he had said something at the press conference that all the boxing reporters picked up and reported on, including myself. He basically ripped Oscar De La Hoya. I reported on it. It was another guy in the comment section asked the same question. He said, what do you think about Charlo saying that he will only go to the Dazn to fight Golovkin, Canelo, or Danny Jacobs and not Demetrius Andrade? I asked him in the comment section, I replied to him and I said, let me ask you a question. Who would you say is the best middleweight in the world? Of course he said Canelo Alvarez. I told that guy, I said, you just proved my point. Case closed. I'm going to use this comment to prove my point when I make this video about Andrade versus Charlo versus Canelo, etc., etc., etc. So listen, once again, I want you guys to keep in mind, we are comparing Jermall Charlo's situation to Canelo Alvarez's situation. This fan who asked the question, why aren't you talking about this, about Charlo not going after or not willing to sign over to the Dazn to fight Andrade, and when I asked him who was the best fighter, he said Canelo's the best fighter. This is the difference between Charlo and Canelo Alvarez, guys. If you guys truly believe that Canelo is the best middleweight in the world, guess what that means? That means Charlo is going after the best middleweight in the world. But by way of contrast, that means Canelo Alvarez is avoiding the best middleweights in the world. You see how that works? You Canelo Alvarez fans cannot have it both ways. You want to sit over here and say Canelo Alvarez is the best fighter in the world, but then you want to question why all these guys want to fight him. Why won't they fight some other guy? That's not how being the best in the world works. You can't just claim you're the best and not fight the best fighters anymore. It does not work like that. You have to defend your throne. I mean, when you guys say that Canelo Alvarez is the best middleweight in the world, that's like me asking you, or you asking me, who's the best middleweights in the world? And I say to you, it's Demetrius Andrade and Jermall Charlo. And guess what? Canelo Alvarez, he wants to fight them both. So he's aggressively calling them out. Just like Jermall Charlo and Andrade aggressively call out Canelo and Golovkin. Just picture the scenario. Imagine Canelo aggressively calling out the two best middleweights in the world, and they don't want to fight him. Would anybody be criticizing Canelo if he wants to fight the two best middleweights in the world? Of course not. He wants to fight the best. So you can't really criticize Jermall Charlo that much if he wants to fight who you said is the best middleweight in the world. Not only that, but once again, if we're comparing Charlo to Canelo Alvarez, did you guys know that Demetrius Andrade actually pulled out of a Charlo fight in 2014 because he said he wasn't getting enough money, he wasn't getting paid enough? The reason why I'm bringing this up is because once again, we're comparing Canelo's situation to Jermall Charlo's situation. When is the last time Canelo Alvarez negotiated with Jermall Charlo, negotiated with Demetrius Andrade? Never, right? But when it comes to the Charlo brothers, Jermall Charlo, he was ready to fight Demetrius Andrade. Canelo has never been willing to fight Demetrius Andrade, and that doesn't mean he's never going to fight him. I'm not saying that, but right now, he clearly has no interest. Once again, you guys are trying to compare Charlo's situation to Canelo's situation, and it ain't even apples and oranges, it's apples and rocks. Second of all, Canelo's mandatory was Jermall Charlo. Canelo gave up his belt to avoid to avoid Charlo, that is. If this was the same situation when you would compare, then it would mean that Jermall Charlo would have had to vacate his belt to avoid Demetrius Andrade. Has Charlo ever vacated his belt to avoid anyone? No, never, right? So it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And I'll tell you something else. This is the bottom line. The bottom line is, if you guys are going to say that Canelo Alvarez is the best, he's the biggest star in the division, it makes all the sense in the world that a Demetrius Andrade or Jermall Charlo would be chasing him. Because if Demetrius Andrade or Charlo, if they were to get in the ring and beat Canelo Alvarez, that would make an Andrade versus Charlo fight just as big as an Andrade versus Canelo or a Charlo versus Golovkin fight. So you guys keep trying to deflect and distract, but at the end of the day, Jermall Charlo is going after who you believe is the best middleweight in the world, and Canelo Alvarez is not going after the best middleweights. He's fighting against a light heavyweight who has 2 losses, who's at the end of his career already been knocked out 2 times, and he understands that's a much easier fight than facing the guys in his own division. And I'm telling you guys right now, to the Canelo Alvarez fans, I don't care how much this upsets you. I don't care how much you cry and slap your knee and talk all that crazy stuff. I'm gonna keep hitting you with the facts. This is new media. And you know what new media means? You guys were used to all these racist ass reporters telling you what you wanted to hear. It didn't matter if it was true or not, it was just something you wanted to hear. Now you're getting the truth. And the truth is not always something you want to hear. Once again, just like when you go to your doctor and maybe he has some bad news for you. If he has some bad news for you, he's not gonna change it up and give you good news just because you don't wanna hear it. He's gonna give you that news regardless if you wanna hear it or not. That's what you're gonna get on this channel. The truth, regardless if you want to hear it or not. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this is the black murderer's role all over again. If Canelo does not and refuses to get in the ring with Jermall Charlo and Andrade, I still predict eventually they will end up fighting each other, just like the Black Murderers Row did. The Black Murderers Row was a group of the most dangerous, skilled black fighters in the 40s and the 50s that everyone ducked and avoided. All the big names ducked and avoided. Since they couldn't get in the ring with the big names, they had to keep fighting against each other over and over and over again. And this is what the Canelo fans and the Golovkin fans are asking Demetrius Andrade and Charlo to do. Leave our fighter alone. We don't want him to take another L. You guys have so many talented black fighters, from Terrence Crawford, Gervonta Tank Davis, Errol Spence, Deontay Wilder, Jermall Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and the list just goes on and on and on. Let us keep Canelo winning, okay? You guys go over there in that corner and fight amongst each other, but leave Canelo alone. We just want Canelo to keep winning. We don't care who he fights. It's very important that he continues to win no matter who he fights. This is what the boxing fans are saying. This is what the boxing community, the boxing world, the media is saying. They want to protect Canelo Alvarez by all means necessary. And they've been very successful at doing it so far. And if Charlo and Andrade cannot get this man, Canelo, in the ring, we have a new Black Murderers Row tournament that's about to start. So don't be surprised. Once again, if neither Andrade or Charlo can lure Canelo in, yeah, we're going to see it. We're going to see Demetrius Andrade versus Jermall Charlo eventually. If it's a foregone conclusion when it comes to getting Canelo in the ring. But once again, Canelo Alvarez fans, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit over here and say Canelo Alvarez is the best, but then turn around and say you don't understand why Charlo wants to fight the best. It makes no goddamn sense. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.